3:30 in the morning. Complete darkness. A bell rings once in the mountain silence. Within seconds, 40 monks rise from sleep. Not one of them negotiates with the sound. Not one considers going back to sleep. Not one lies in bed wondering if they made the right choice. Their minds are empty. But your mind isn't empty, is it? You lie awake at 2 in the morning replaying a conversation from 6 years ago. You obsess over a text message you sent 3 hours ago, analyzing every word, every punctuation mark, wondering what they really meant, what you should have said instead. You create entire scenarios in your head about things that haven't happened and probably never will. You argue with people who aren't even in the room. You rehearse conversations that will never take place. You solve problems that don't exist yet. You worry about tomorrow while lying in yesterday. Your mind never stops. It's a machine that runs without your permission, generating thoughts like a factory that never closes, producing anxiety, doubt, regret, and fear on an endless conveyor belt you can't seem to shut down. You've tried. You've tried meditation apps that tell you to just breathe. You've tried positive thinking, gratitude journals, therapy, medication. Some of it helps, for a while, but the thoughts always come back, because no one ever taught you the fundamental truth that warrior monks discovered over 1,000 years ago. You cannot stop thinking, but you can learn to empty your mind. These are not the same thing. And the difference between the two is the difference between a lifetime of mental chaos and the kind of unshakable inner stillness that makes others wonder what you know that they don't. This is how warrior monks empty their mind, the ancient practice that stops overthinking. Before we talk about the solution, we need to understand exactly what we're fighting, because overthinking isn't just a bad habit. It's not a personality flaw. It's not something wrong with you. Overthinking is your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do, in an environment it was never designed for. 10,000 years ago, your ancestor sat by a fire. His mind wandered to the sound in the bushes he heard that afternoon. Was it a predator? Should he move the camp? Did he miss something important? This mental replay saved his life. The one who didn't think, didn't survive. The one who didn't analyze, didn't see the danger. The one who didn't plan, didn't make it through winter. Your brain is the descendant of the brains that survived, which means your brain is specifically designed to constantly scan for threats, replay past events looking for missed dangers, simulate future scenarios to prepare for disaster, never fully rest, because rest meant death. This kept your ancestors alive. But you're not being chased by predators. You're being chased by deadlines, bills, expectations, comparisons, judgments, and the infinite scroll of everyone else's curated highlight reel. Your ancient survival mechanism is trying to protect you from threats that aren't trying to eat you, but are eating you alive from the inside. The thought stream never stops because, in the ancestral environment, stopping meant dying. But now, not stopping means you never truly live. You're here, but not present. You're alive, but not awake. You're surviving, but not free. And this is where the warrior monks discovered something that changes everything. Before we go deeper into what the warrior monks discovered, I need to ask you something. If this already resonates with you, if you recognize yourself in what I'm describing, do me a favor. Subscribe to Forged in Stillness right now. This is just the beginning of what we're building here. Hit the like button so this reaches others who are trapped in the same mental chaos. And drop a comment and tell me, what's the one thought pattern you can't seem to escape? What does your mind obsess over when you're trying to sleep? Your answer might help someone else realize they're not alone in this struggle. Now, let's continue. Let me take you to the mountains, where this practice was born. High in the mountains of China, where the air is thin and the winters are brutal, there's a monastery that has existed for over 1,500 years. The Shaolin Temple. Most people know it for Kung Fu. For warriors who could fight with superhuman skill. For monks who could break stone with their bare hands. But what most people don't know is that the fighting was never the point. The fighting was the byproduct. These weren't monks who learned to fight. These were warriors who learned to empty their minds completely. And when your mind is completely empty, your body moves without interference, without hesitation, without the voice in your head questioning every move. The Shaolin discovered something that sounds paradoxical. The path to extraordinary action is absolute stillness of mind. But here's what they understood that modern meditation teachers often miss. You cannot empty your mind by sitting still and trying not to think. That's like trying to fall asleep by trying to fall asleep. The harder you try, the more awake you become. The more you try not to think, the more thoughts appear. The more you fight the mind, the stronger it gets. So the warrior monks took a completely different approach. They didn't try to stop thinking. They learned to become a different kind of person. A person in whom thoughts arise and fall like waves on the ocean without disturbing the depths. A person who can watch their own mind without being controlled by it. A person who understands the difference between having thoughts and being your thoughts. And they developed a practice so powerful, so precise, that it's been passed down in an unbroken chain for 15 centuries. Not because it's easy, but because it works. The master sits across from the new student. Between them, a bowl of water. The master picks up a small stone. "Watch," he says. He drops the stone into the water. Ripples spread across the surface. Waves disturb the stillness. The student watches. Slowly, the waves subside. The ripples fade. The water returns to perfect stillness. Your mind is the water, the master says. Your thoughts are the stones. The question is not how to stop the stones from falling. Stones will always fall. Life will always drop stones into your water. The question is, do you thrash around trying to stop the ripples, or do you allow the water to return to stillness on its own? The student asks, "But master, how do I allow it?" When the thoughts come, I try to push them away, but they only come back stronger. The master smiles. Exactly. You try, and in trying, you create more ripples. You drop more stones. You disturb the water you're trying to calm. The practice is not about stopping thoughts. It's about learning to be the still water beneath the waves. This teaching contains the entire secret. But like all profound truths, it's simple to understand and difficult to embody, because you've spent your entire life believing you are your thoughts. When a thought says, "You're not good enough," you believe it's true. When a thought says, "They don't like you," you accept it as fact. When a thought says, "You should be worried about this," you obey. But here's what the warrior monks understood. Thoughts are not truth. They're just weather patterns in the sky of your consciousness. You don't control the weather, but you don't have to dance in every storm either. Modern neuroscience has now confirmed what the monks knew through centuries of practice. Your brain generates between 60 and 80,000 thoughts per day. Most of them are repetitive. Most of them are negative. Most of them are not consciously chosen. They arise automatically from neural pathways you've reinforced over years of mental habits. Every time you follow a thought pattern, you strengthen that pathway. Every time you ruminate on a worry, you make it easier for that worry to return. Every time you replay a regret, you carve the groove deeper. Your brain is not trying to torture you. It's trying to protect you by preparing you for every possible threat. But here's the discovery. You can observe a thought without following it. You can notice a mental pattern without reinforcing it. You can watch your mind without being your mind. And when you do this consistently, the pathways weaken. The thoughts still arise, but they lose their power. They become like clouds passing through the sky. You notice them, but you don't chase them. This is what neuroscientists call metacognition, thinking about thinking. But what the warrior monks understood, and what science is only now confirming, is that there's something even deeper. There's a state beyond metacognition, a state where you're not thinking about thinking. You're simply aware, present, empty, still. This is the mind the warrior monk cultivates. Not a mind with no thoughts, but a mind that is not controlled by thoughts. And the practice that creates this mind is both ancient and radically simple. 4 in the morning. The meditation hall is cold. 40 monks sit in perfect stillness, not moving, barely breathing, for 2 hours. This is not relaxation. This is training. The practice has 3 levels. Most people never get past the first. Many spend years at the second. Only a few reach the third. But everyone starts at the same place, with the breath. Not because the breath is special, but because the breath is always happening. Right now, you're breathing. You didn't have to remember to breathe. You didn't have to try. It's happening automatically. But here's the key. You can also breathe consciously. You can choose to pay attention to it. This makes the breath the perfect bridge between your automatic mind and your conscious awareness. The first level of the practice is this. Sit still. Notice your breath. When your mind wanders, and it will, bring your attention back to your breath. That's it. No special technique. No visualization. No mantra. Just breathe. Notice. Return. You've probably heard this before. Maybe you've even tried it. And here's what happened. You sat down. You noticed your breath. Within 30 seconds, you were thinking about what to have for dinner. You caught yourself. Came back to the breath. 10 seconds later, you were replaying a conversation from yesterday. You came back. 5 seconds later, planning tomorrow. Back to breath. Immediately thinking about whether you're doing this right. Back to breath. Judging yourself for how much you're thinking. Back to breath. And after 5 minutes of this exhausting mental ping-pong, you decided meditation isn't for you. Your mind is too active. You can't do it. You're not built for this. But here's what the warrior monk knows that you don't. That frustrating experience, that constant return to the breath after wandering, that moment of noticing you've wandered and choosing to come back, that is the practice. That's not you failing at meditation. That's you succeeding. The master teaches the student to strike with the sword. Not to hit the target, but to return to center. The strike is just an opportunity to practice coming back to stillness. This changes everything, because most people think the goal of meditation is to achieve some state of no thoughts. They believe they're supposed to reach some peak experience where the mind goes completely blank and they feel cosmic bliss. And when that doesn't happen, which it won't, especially at the beginning, they quit. But the warrior monk understands. The practice is not reaching the state of no thoughts. The practice is the return. Notice you've wandered. Come back. That's 1 repetition. Notice you've wandered. Come back. That's 2. Notice. Return. Notice. Return. You're not failing when you wander. You're succeeding every time you notice and return. Each return is like a bicep curl for your awareness. Each time you catch yourself thinking and choose to come back to the present moment, you're strengthening the muscle of conscious attention. And here's what happens over time. The wandering doesn't stop, but the gap between wandering and noticing gets shorter. You used to get lost in thought for 10 minutes before realizing it, then 5 minutes, then 1 minute, then 30 seconds. Then you notice the thought the moment it arises, and here's where it gets interesting. When you can notice a thought the instant it appears, before you've followed it, before you've believed it, before you've built a story around it, it dissolves. Like a wave that never quite forms, the thought arises, you notice it, it passes, you remain still. Not because you pushed it away, but because you didn't grab onto it. This is the second level of practice. The first level is notice and return. The second level is notice and remain. The thought appears, you see it. You don't follow it. It fades. You stay present. And this is where most meditators spend years, because it's subtle. It requires a kind of alert relaxation that seems contradictory. You're paying attention, but not trying. You're aware, but not controlling. You're present, but not forcing presence. The warrior monks have a phrase for this. Wu Wei, action through non-action, doing by not doing. The river doesn't try to flow, it flows. The tree doesn't try to grow, it grows. The breath doesn't try to happen, it happens. And when your mind reaches this state, thoughts don't try to stop. They simply slow. The master sits on the mountain for 7 days, not moving, barely eating, not sleeping in any way we would recognize. He's not trying to achieve anything. He's not practicing anymore. He has become the practice. This is the third level. And it's almost impossible to describe in words because it's not an experience you have. It's the absence of the one who would have experiences. The warrior monks call it different names. Mushin, no mind. Sunyata, emptiness. Kensho, seeing one's true nature. But these are just words pointing at something beyond words. Here's the closest I can get. At the first level, you have thoughts, and you practice returning from them. At the second level, you notice thoughts arising and let them pass. At the third level, there's no one there to notice. There's just awareness itself. No thinker, just thinking happening. No observer, just observing. No you, just presence. And in that state, the question, how do I stop overthinking, becomes absurd, because there's no one there who could overthink. Thoughts might arise, but they're like sounds in an empty room. They occur, they fade, nothing holds on to them. Most people will never reach this level. And here's the thing, they don't need to, because the transformation doesn't happen at level 3. The transformation happens at level 1. We're about to talk about how this practice actually transforms your daily life. But before we do, I want to make sure you don't lose this. If you haven't already subscribed, do it now. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next practice we explore. And if this video is giving you value, if you're starting to see overthinking differently, share it with someone who needs to hear this. Send it to that friend who can't sleep because their mind won't stop. Post it in a group where people are struggling with anxiety. This knowledge changes lives, but only if it reaches the people who need it. Comment below. I'm ready to practice. Let me know you're committing to this. Alright, let's talk about what actually changes. You don't need to sit on a mountain for 7 days. You don't need to join a monastery. You don't need to achieve enlightenment. You just need to practice the return. Every day, even for 5 minutes. Especially when you don't want to. Especially when your mind says, this isn't working. Because here's what actually changes your life. Not the peak experiences. Not the moments of perfect clarity. Not the times when meditation feels blissful and easy. What changes your life is the accumulation of returns. Every single time you notice you've been lost in thought and choose to come back to the present moment, you're rewiring your brain. You're weakening the pathway of automatic thinking. You're strengthening the pathway of conscious awareness. You're training yourself to be less controlled by your thoughts. And over weeks, months, years of this practice, something shifts. You're in a conversation and someone says something that would normally trigger a spiral of overthinking. But this time, you notice the thought arising. You see it clearly. They don't respect me. They think I'm stupid. I shouldn't have said that. And instead of following that thought into a 3-hour mental loop, you simply notice it. See it as just a thought, and let it pass. You return to the conversation. You're lying in bed and your mind starts rehearsing tomorrow's presentation. But instead of spending 2 hours mentally preparing for things that might go wrong, you notice, I'm thinking about tomorrow. You return to your breath. You fall asleep. You're scrolling social media and you feel that familiar anxiety creeping in, the comparison, the inadequacy. But instead of spiraling into, everyone's life is better than mine, you notice, I'm comparing myself. You put the phone down. You return to presence. These small moments, these tiny returns, these barely noticeable choices. This is where freedom lives, not in some mystical experience on a mountaintop, but in the ordinary moment when you choose awareness over automaticity, presence over pattern, stillness over spiral. This is what it means to empty your mind. But let's be honest about what you're going to face. Because the warrior monks don't just teach the practice. They teach how to continue when everything in you wants to quit. Obstacle 1. You will be convinced this isn't working. For the first week, maybe the first month, maybe longer, you'll sit down to practice and your mind will be louder than ever. You'll think you're getting worse at this, not better. Here's the truth. Your mind was always this loud. You're just noticing it now. Before, you were completely identified with the noise. Now, you're starting to hear it as noise. That's progress, even though it doesn't feel like it. The warrior monk's response: notice the doubt. Return to the breath. Obstacle 2. You will want immediate results. You live in a world of instant everything. Same-day delivery, immediate responses, instant gratification. You'll expect meditation to work the same way. It won't. This is a practice measured in months and years, not minutes and days. The warrior monk's response: the practice is the result. There is nothing to achieve, just return. Obstacle 3. You will skip days. You'll be too tired, too busy, too stressed. Ironically, you'll skip meditation precisely when you need it most. You'll tell yourself you'll get back to it tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes never. The warrior monk's response: one breath is practice. You always have time for one conscious breath. Start there. Obstacle 4. You will judge yourself. You'll compare yourself to some imagined meditator who sits in perfect bliss. You'll think, real meditators don't struggle like this. I'm doing it wrong. The warrior monk's response: the one who judges is just another thought. Notice it. Return. Obstacle 5. Life will test you immediately. The moment you start building this practice, everything will seem to conspire against it. You'll get sick, work will explode, family crisis, relationship drama. This isn't coincidence. This is life showing you exactly why you need this practice. The warrior monk's response: the storm is the practice. This is exactly the moment to return to stillness. These obstacles never fully disappear. Even the master faces them. The difference is, the master knows they're part of the path, not problems with the path. Every obstacle is another opportunity to return. So here's exactly what you do. Tomorrow morning, or tonight, or right now, after you finish listening to this, find a quiet space. It doesn't have to be special. Your bedroom is fine. Sit down, on a chair, on the floor, on a cushion. Doesn't matter. Sit with your back straight but not rigid. Think, dignified, but relaxed. Close your eyes, or keep them slightly open with a soft gaze downward. Bring your attention to your breath. Don't change it. Don't control it. Just notice it. Notice the sensation of air entering your nose. Notice your chest or belly rising. Notice the exhale. Notice the natural pause between breaths. That's it. Just notice. Within seconds, you'll be thinking about something else. The moment you realize you're thinking, that's the moment of power. Don't judge it. Don't be frustrated. Just notice. And return to the breath. This will happen 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. Every single time, your only job is notice, return. Set a timer for 5 minutes to start. When the timer goes off, take a moment to notice how you feel. Don't expect fireworks. You might feel nothing special. That's fine. You still practiced. Do this every day. Same time, same place if possible. Not because you're trying to achieve anything, but because you're training a new way of being with your mind. After a week, add another minute. After a month, add another. Work your way up to 20 minutes if you can. But even 5 minutes, done consistently, will change you. Not dramatically, not suddenly, but steadily, like water shaping stone, one return at a time. Here's what the warrior monks understood that changes everything. The meditation hall is just training. The real practice is your life. Every moment is an opportunity to return. You're washing dishes. Your mind drifts to work stress. Notice. Return to the sensation of warm water on your hands. You're walking to your car. Your mind rehearses an argument. Notice. Return to the feeling of your feet on the ground. You're eating lunch. Your mind scrolls through social media mentally. Notice. Return to the taste of your food. You're in a conversation. Your mind is planning what you'll say next. Notice. Return to actually listening. Every single moment of your day is a chance to practice the return, not to escape life, but to actually be present for it. Because here's what you'll discover. You've spent most of your life thinking about life instead of living it. Planning the future, replaying the past, judging the present. Always somewhere else in your head. Never quite here. And you've missed so much. Not big dramatic things. Small things. The way morning light comes through your window. The sound of rain on the roof. The taste of coffee. The feeling of your breath keeping you alive. The miracle of this moment, right now, which will never come again. When your mind empties, life fills the space. Not with some spiritual experience, but with simple presence. The warrior monk doesn't empty his mind to escape the world. He empties his mind to finally see it clearly, without the filter of constant thinking, without the narrative constantly running, without the voice that always has an opinion about what's happening. Just this, right here, right now, this breath, this moment, this life. And it turns out, this was always enough. You just couldn't see it through all the noise. So what actually changes? Your life circumstances might not change at all. Same job, same relationships, same challenges. But you change. You become someone who is less controlled by their thoughts. Someone who can observe anxiety without becoming anxious. Someone who can feel anger without being consumed by it. Someone who can notice fear without letting it make decisions. You become someone with space between stimulus and response. Someone said something that would have ruined your day. There's now a gap between hearing it and reacting. In that gap, you have a choice. Something went wrong that would have sent you spiraling. There's now a pause between the event and your interpretation. In that pause, you have freedom. Your mind starts its usual pattern of overthinking. There's now a moment where you can see it happening and choose not to follow. In that moment, you have power. This is what an empty mind gives you. Not emptiness as in void. Emptiness as in space. Room to breathe. Room to choose. Room to be. People will notice something different about you. They won't be able to name it. They'll say you seem calmer, more centered, more present. What they're really noticing is that you're less controlled by the chaos that controls them, and they'll want to know what changed. You can tell them about this practice, or you can simply live it. Because the warrior monk doesn't talk about emptiness. He embodies it. The path is simple. That doesn't mean it's easy. You will sit down to practice and your mind will scream at you to stop. You will have days where it feels like you've made no progress at all. You will forget. You will skip. You will doubt. This is part of the path. The warrior monk falls too. The difference is, he gets back up. He returns to the practice. Again, and again, and again. Not because he's disciplined, but because he understands something. This practice isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming free. Free from the tyranny of your own thinking. Free from the prison of constant mental noise. Free to be here, now, fully alive. And that freedom is built one return at a time. One breath at a time. One moment at a time. You don't need to empty your mind completely. You just need to create a little bit of space. And in that space, everything changes. Start tomorrow. 5 minutes. Notice your breath. When you wander, and you will, return. That's the whole practice. Do it again the next day, and the day after. Not forever. Just today. Always just today. And one day, months or years from now, you'll notice something. The overthinking that used to control your life has become background noise. Still there, but powerless. You'll be having a conversation, washing dishes, walking down the street, and you'll realize You're actually here, not thinking about being here, not trying to be here, just here, fully present, mind empty, finally awake. And you'll understand what the warrior monks knew all along. This was always available. You just had to stop, return, and see it. The bell rings. The meditation is complete. The monks rise. But they're not done practicing. They're walking into practice. Every step, every breath, every moment. This is what it means to empty your mind. Not in the meditation hall, but in your life. Starting now. Starting with this breath. Right here. Right now. The practice is waiting. The only question is, will you return? If this resonated with you, subscribe to Forged in Stillness for more ancient practices that build what motivation never could. This channel exists to bring you warrior wisdom and monk discipline for the modern world. Hit the like button if this video gave you value. It helps more people find this path. Leave a comment and tell me, what's the one thought pattern you're ready to stop following? Share your commitment. Let this community witness your decision. And share this video with someone who's trapped in overthinking. Someone who can't sleep because their mind won't stop. Someone who needs to know there's a way out. Most importantly, practice. 5 minutes, tomorrow morning. One breath, one return. One moment at a time. This is how you empty your mind. This is how you become free. Stay forged, warrior.